My name is Andrei Tănăsescu, and I work with the programming team here at the festival. And it is my absolute honor to be here to introduce to you the second screening of the North American premiere of Radu Jude's I Do Not Care If We Go Down in History as Barbarians. But however, before we begin, we would like to acknowledge that today's event is taking place on the treaty territory of the Mississaugas of New Credit and the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and the Huron-Wendat. We are grateful to have the opportunity to work in the community. I would also like to remind you that this movie is eligible for the Gaulish People's Choice Awards, so if you like it, please don't forget to vote. And certainly we would like to thank Beta Cinema for providing us with this movie. Radu Jude is one of the most important Romanian filmmakers to be working today. He is part of the second generation of the new Romanian cinema, or the Romanian New Wave, as it is most often called. He made his first, so to speak, he made a name for himself as being the first Romanian filmmaker to be selected at Sundance with his short film Two with a Hat in 2006, for which he won the Best Short Award. And 3 years later, he made his first feature film, The Happiest Girl in the World, which we had at the festival back then. Absolutely. Thanks. Nearly a decade later, we are absolutely honored to have him return to the festival with the film that you're about to see. After his third film, or rather starting with his third film, Aphorim, for which he won the Best Director Award in Berlin. Yeah. Radu Jude has continued to explore the way that the way cinema represents. Sorry, let me start that over again. Because it is very important to understand where this film lies in Radu Jude's filmography. So as I said, with Aphorim, his third film, he has started exploring the way that history is represented on screen. With every film ever since, he has explored the language of cinema in this representation and the dynamics of power that exist through history. The film that you're about to see has once again made, so to speak, records. Radu premiered the movie in Karlovy Vary, where he won actually the main prize for the film in July of this year, making it the first time that a Romanian film has ever won the Grand Prix in Karlovy Vary. I Do Not Care If We Go Down in History is also Romania's submissions for the Oscars, and as you will see, it is a very necessary and urgent film, for Radu is tackling Romania's contentious past with anti-Semitism. An issue that unfortunately is still an ongoing problem. Just a couple of weeks ago, I believe at the beginning of August or at the end of July, the childhood home of Elie Wiesel was vandalized. And I believe we have only to look to the headlines of the news today down south in Germany to see that anti-Semitism is an ongoing issue, as well as the reinterpretation of our history. We're absolutely delighted to have two of Radu Jude's longtime collaborators here with us, Cătălin Cristuțiu, his editor, and of course Ada Solomon, the producer that has been with Radu ever since his first short film. We also have here at the festival the main actress, Ioana Iacob, who is giving an absolutely powerful performance. And I would just like to also mention that, of course, today's screening is a very special screening, because it is part of the TIFF Speakers Series. In partnership with the University of Toronto's Monk School of Global Affairs and Public Policy, the series offers an extended Q&A with a filmmaker and a subject expert to help gain a deeper understanding of the film's social and political context, as well as the broader issues facing the world today. We would like to welcome Teresa Barta from York University at the screening, who will be joined by the producer of the film, Ada Solomon, on stage following the screening. But for now, please help me welcome to the stage Ada Solomon.
Thank you very much, Andrei, for this extended intro. Yeah, it's hard in the morning, and I'm so very grateful for you being in such great number at this time in the morning. I'm deeply honored to see such a full hall at this time. Thank you so very much. I won't speak much before the film. I will let you grab it with your own perception, and I would be delighted to hear your questions and your opinions after the screening. It's a very important, indeed, film for us. We are trying to do films that are raising questions and are launching debate, and you will see that this is one of them, probably the most accomplished up to now for us. We are very proud to be selected here, and I just wish you to enjoy the screening. Thank you so much.
Good morning. My name is Christoph Straub, and I'm the Senior Manager of Adult Learning here at TIFF. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this conversation as part of the TIFF Speaker Series, which brings filmmakers together in dialogue with a subject or regional expert on the themes of the film. So here films serve as a springboard to inspire provoking conversations and a deeper understanding of issues facing the world today. And I believe, as Andrei mentioned in his introduction, this theme of this film is very relevant, and I think we'll have a really fruitful discussion. We'd like to thank the University of Toronto's Monk School of Global Affairs and Public Policy for partnering with us on this initiative, and to the scholars who are dedicating their time and their expertise, a big thank you as well. We invite you to join us here at the Lightbox throughout the year for similar talks programs like Real Talk and Books on Film, which provide opportunities to learn more about contemporary and classic cinema. Now, due to a scheduling conflict, Ron Levy from the Monk School is not able to attend this morning's conversation. However, we're incredibly grateful and thrilled to have Teresa Barta from York University lead the conversation with the film's producer, Ada Solomon, to discuss I Do Not Care If We Go Down in History as Barbarians. Teresa Barta has extensive experience as a director, writer, researcher, and editor, having worked on more than 25 documentaries, feature film, and numerous television productions. For 12 years, she was a writer and director at the Romanian National Film Board in Bucharest, followed by stints at the Austrian Film Board and CBC Radio Canada in Montreal. Since 1996, she has been an associate professor at York University, where she teaches film directing. So please join me in welcoming now Ada Solomon and Teresa Barta.
Thank you very much, Christoph. So it's a great honor to have Ada with us. Ada is one of the most fierce, audacious, and courageous producers that Romania has today. And she is known for supporting and advancing young voices, young talents, and also films that are tackling subjects less comfortable or that spare a lot of controversy and debate. And the film you've watched today, it's no less one of those. Now, I have some friends and students who watched the film previously, and they have asked me a little bit about the context that for a non-Romanian audience, it's more difficult to access the historical context in which the film takes place. Because as you've noticed, the film, I think, rather addresses the perception and the acceptance or non-acceptance of the history nowadays, rather than dealing with the past. So I'm going to very briefly give you the historical context in which this film, the historical context that the film deals with. I'm not a historian, so, and I didn't learn in school this history because we were not taught it in full disclosure. So what I know, I will impart with you. Romania adhered to the Nazi Germany, became Nazi Germany ally in the 40s, following a very difficult year that Romania went through in the summer of 1940. A lot of Romanian territories were taken away by the Hungarian Horthy regime, by the Russian, the northeast was territories by Bessarabia and part of Ukraine, nowadays Ukraine, were Romanian territories and taken by the Russians, and the south in Dobroja, southeast, was also two major territories were taken by the Bulgarians. So in this very desperate situation, the king Michael I, Romanian was a monarchy at the time, appoints Marshal Antonescu, who was a Nazi Germany sympathizer, and to whom Hitler promised that if Romania allies itself with Germany, Hitler will help regain the territories that Romania lost. So in this context, Romania joined the Nazi army. Now, around Marshal Antonescu, there is a lot of controversy, which goes now to this day in Romania, because it's true that he opposed to deportation of Romanians, whereas Transylvania was part of the Hungarian territories and under Horthy regime, and from Transylvania a lot of Jews were deported and killed in the famous Auschwitz and Treblinka and Majdanek camps. From the east side of Romania, known at the time as Muntenia, Jews were not deported. So Antonescu opposed the deportation of the Jews, but this not because he was caring that much about them or loving them, but because there was an opportunity to make money out of the International Jewish Council, and also because he used their free labor. But the fact that he didn't deport them, in a way, comfort him this aura of a hero that, if you remember the character, the Fatso, at the very end, claims he is a saint, he is a hero. So I will break here and let Ada tell us a little bit about where this, I will say something before, because it's very interesting in the context of the international filmmaking nowadays, this movement towards what in Canada it's known truth and reconciliation. It's happening in Europe, reflected in films. There is another film in the festival called The Load, which deals with the massacres of the Albanians by Serbians in Kosovo, and the Romanian film, which is one of the, I would say, maybe the first film produced, right, or feature film. I think there is a documentary made about the Odessa Massacre, but in fiction format, it's the first film that deals with this very delicate subject and confronts Romanian with their past in a very direct, honest, and truthful way. So where is the idea coming from, and why now?
Well, actually, the rise of nationalism everywhere in the world. I mean, I'm not talking only about Europe or our part of Europe. It's really like all around Europe and extended to extended worldwide. And I think this is one of the main triggers. The other thing is that we didn't imagine the moment that we were starting the project that the subject will be so damn actual as it is today. Radu Jude is someone that really went in depth, you know, in research of the history and of the whole situation with anti-Semitism and what happened, because to this day, precisely as you said, you didn't learn, but not the kids today are learning about what happened in the Second World War with Romania as long as it was an ally with the Nazi Germany. So the history book in respect of Second World War starts the moment the Romanians are turning the weapons,
which happened in 1994, 23rd of August. So almost by the end of the war.
So actually the perception of history still today in Romania is that we are showing and we are learning in school only the glorious moments of our nation. And I think that this is not something very original to the Romanians. I think it's happening in many countries. And we felt the need precisely in order to get to this reconciliation, in order to assume the past of the country, the position, to make a movement, to launch the debate, to show, to make the people question more and go deeper into understanding of who indeed Marshal Antonescu was. Because he is indeed, to this day, even though in the official papers he is a war criminal and he was executed like so, and it's written, it's proved, it's assumed by Romania as a state, still the common perception is that he is assigned a great Romanian, someone that was really fighting for its own country, and on the nationalistic populist perception it's going like so. It's like this big figure that is neglected, and it's continuously perceived as a criminal because the communists made him a criminal, and that is why it's perpetuated. So the things are very nuanced, and the danger is that we are perpetuating some false ideas just because we don't know. And that's what we wanted, and that's what Radu is trying to do, to bring the truths to the consideration of the mass public.
I'm going to play a little bit the devil's advocate here, and maybe this is a question that pertains more to the director, but I know you work with him in a very close collaborative way, so I'm sure you can answer to it. I'm going to have the voice of the representative of the city, the Movila character, who comes and says, who cares today? Did I do it? No. Did I was part of it? No. So why it's this movement going to resuscitate the people who died? So who benefits from this stirring up and disturbing the way the pieces fall, the pieces of the history fell? Why now? And what is going to happen within the contemporary Romanian society?
No, I think it's precisely what I said before. Yes, we care because the wrong perception of the history and the lack of information is leading to a false speech, that it's escalating, and it's making heroes out of aggressors, and also we need to know in order to be able to judge, in order to judge the future or the present, you need to correctly have the understanding of the past. That's what we think, and that's the position of the lead character of Mariana, and that's what she wants to launch the debate and to bring this to the people that don't know. I mean, we never learned this. And we need to know, because of course an average citizen will say, but this was not written in my history book. I've learned history in school, I was a good student, and it was nothing there. I didn't tickle more because, well, I wasn't interested, but it was not there. Why?
So unfortunately, Romania nowadays has to grapple with a lot of let's call it collective guilt. Before dealing with the Second World War, there is also the communist time. And there is a lot of social, political, emotional, psychological movement in the contemporary Romania that tries to grapple with this time of historical time that was called communism, and the acceptance and the enabling of the most perhaps harsher dictator of all the Eastern Communist bloc that Romania had. And for the people who know a little bit, it ended up, it's the only country that where the leader, the dictator, has been killed. So there is a lot of collective guilt, I think, and it's very hard. We know that guilt is one of the most difficult feelings that a human being struggles with. And it's the most difficult feeling to carry along. And collectively, it's even more difficult. So the film tries to, and I find the ending very powerful and very moving. We struggle, we debate, we fight, we are very entangled in the contemporary conversation, and what is left are the victims. But there is a question that I had that pertains to the artistic approach, which left me a little bit confused. Mariana, yeah, that's her name, starts by saying, I'm an actress. I'm going to play a role. And the film ends with mannequins. The film doesn't end with the photograph that is brought throughout the film, a document, an archival document, where we know that those people hanging are not mannequins, are real people. The film ends with the mannequins. So what is the statement here? In spite of all this, we still don't care? Or I didn't know how to read these covers that the film.
Well, here, as well as in Aferim, the previous work of that traveled a lot of Radu, the thing is that we do not dare to say this is the truth. This is precisely what happened. So we are going into representation of the history, and we assume this, and we say it out loud that this is our reconstruction and representation of the history. It's not the truth, the one and only, because we cannot reconstruct the truth. We do believe, and Radu is the first one to say, we cannot build rebuild precisely what it was. We don't dare, and we think that to the memory, to the people that were involved in this, is disrespectful to try to represent their their suffering and the exactly how we are it's a reading of the whole thing. It's not what it was, because we are not God. We cannot say this is it and this is the one and the only. And we are questioning ourselves as well. So it's a big question mark. It's not this is it. We don't dare to do that, and I don't think it's the wise way to do it. Like that's.
Let me ask you something else. What was the thinking behind choosing a woman to direct this whole reenactment?
So the idea was that it's a man word. It's even this military reconstruction, the whole topics that deals with history and wars, and so it's recognized as being men interest and men thing. So Radu wanted to make this upside down and to turn, but I like thinking that it's even a bit hilarious to have a woman that is conducting such a show and dealing like the head of the army on one hand, but I think the things are going even much farther into that, because imagine the confrontation with a mayor, with a city hall representative, with Movila, being not with a woman, but with a man. The forces, the balance of forces would have been completely different. Here it was flirting and it was fighting and it was all the time like.
But she accepts in the end the flirting, or somehow she accepts. We leave the relationship in, yeah, we'll go and have a coffee, or we'll go and talk about Chekhov. Next step.
It's like leaving it open, of course. But in the same time, I think it's a very interesting way of looking on what's the position of the woman artist nowadays, and especially a woman politically having a social political speech in the work, and where it is nowadays in Romania. And I think it's valid for the world, and with the whole interest of nowadays towards where are the women artists. It's a very good representation as well, and an important one. Precisely in this kind of force that one and the other are bringing into the
I know
fight.
that Christoph wants to open it, but I have a last question, which I think is of interest to everyone. The film didn't open yet in Romania. It will, I think, but like at the end very soon. So, what do you foresee to be the reaction over there?
Yeah, I was saying yesterday as well, and of course the reaction started the moment that we launched the trailer, or we spoke about the topic, the word in Karlovy Vary and so on. So of course the reaction started on the forums and so, but I don't know if it's only Romanians, but in Romania it's very common that behind or covered by the anonymous status on the forums, we can stab, but we don't dare to spit face to face. So that's actually what's happening. On the other hand, it's very interesting also to see that we have the support of the Film Fund, that we had the support of the Military Museum in a very open and very, very clear way. We had in the end the support of the mayory, even with some interesting episodes in between. The film is representing Romania for the foreign language Oscars. I mean, there is the support that is coming from people that are involved, from experts that are involved into this selection process, and somehow we have the support of the Romanian Cultural Institute for the activities outside Romania, and so officially the film is supported. Well,
it's an important step.
It's an important step, and I'm so very grateful to everyone that made. Well, the film is a co-production with a national television. It will be broadcasted, which is rare for the Romanian films to be broadcasted on the national television. There are important steps and important statements to have them in the credits. Then what it will be tough. This I know, but we are used to it.
You are prepared for the battle.
We are used to it.
Great. Thank you so much. We'll open it up to the audience. We have time for a couple of questions.
Excuse me, I think we should invite up on the stage Ioana and
Catalin.
Catalin.
They are
the
here.
main actress,
Yes,
and the editor of the film. And please feel free to ask anything you wish to ask.
Okay, I'll try to repeat the questions so that everybody can hear them. Yeah, over there. Okay. So the question is about the audience applauding at the end of the reenaction, if that's what something that was prescribed or if that happened naturally.
Yeah, everything is scripted, and they were extras. They were not ordinary public people over there. So most of them, because it was open, it was really in a square, and it was free, and people that wanted to join, they were able to join. But most of them, they were extras, and the reaction was scripted. I'm pretty
what
sure.
the reaction would be?
Yeah.
This was the topic of the last question. In Romania, it's going to be a very fierce debate. And when I repeat about the character, the little fat man who says he was this Antonescu, the marshal, who said, no, we are not going to deport, but we are going to deal with it locally, which they did. But that was something that the history masked. And that's why, in the belief of Romanian people, is that he was a good guy. He didn't send them to the hallmark of the annihilation of the Jews, who were Auschwitz. He kept them there. So he was good. She says, her character says very astutely, killing 5 and leaving 5 alive doesn't mean that you were really a saint.
And I wanted to add something, but now I lost my.
Let them ask and
yeah, go ahead.
I think there was a question down here. Yeah.
In light of various European countries moving more and more to nationalism and more and more to right.
Yeah, sure.
Good idea.
In light of the current situation in Europe, lots of European countries where there is more and more move towards the nationalism, and where there's more and more move towards the right, would this kind of movie or trying to reconcile with the truth would be possible today or in the future?
Well, this time will tell. I don't know. I mean, I think even in Romania, if we would have started this film today, would have been much more complicated than 2 years ago when we started to finance and everything. So I think, yeah, I think the problem is more and more serious. Yes, and what I wanted to...
Let me say just a second. Elie Wiesel's, house, which is in the northern part of the country, and it's a very modest and small house, has been just recently vandalized. So speaking about, sorry to interrupt you, but I wanted to make a point that is so contemporary and so such an important subject that it's nowadays.
And actually the comments that we had with people that haven't seen the film, but just the trailer and knowing about the topic, some of them were really very aggressive towards the director, leading as well to life threats or kind of things regarding his family and so on, his kids and so on and so forth. So it's tough, but not openly yet.
Great. Time for one more question here.
You brought the Roma up just briefly in the film, but I mean, obviously it's the same situation. What size is the population, the Jewish and Roma population before the war to now?
I'll tell you. I have here a documentation. Just a second. Before the war, there were almost 100,000. In 2004, I think, the last census, there were 6,000 Jews. Before the war, no, I'm sorry, 1,900,000. What did I say? 900,000, almost 1 million Jews in Romania. And in 2004, there were 6,100. That I got correct.
And of Roma, they are still a lot. I don't have the numbers now. It was definitely a Roma genocide during the war, that it's much less represented. That's true, but it is a fact, and it is recognized, and it's clear that this happened as well. But the population now, it's one of the most important minorities in Romania, the Roma minority.
Thank you. We have to leave it at that, but maybe we can continue the conversation outside the theater as well. Thank you so much for coming for this. Thank you to the crew and to Ada and Teresa. Thank you.